Robbo, just having, I'm sure, pored over the footage of last weekend, are you any the wiser as to whether it is just the season catching up with Huddersfield, or whether there's anything else more sort of worrying, really?
Oh, look, we've I think over the last 2 months, I don't know if I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think we won 50% of the games out of the last 8 games before that. We had a bit of a blip last time we played Wakefield. Before that, yeah, it seemed to be the style of rugby didn't seem to suit us somehow. And there's been a lot of young lads that are playing in key positions, and sometimes it does just catch up with you. We're hoping that's what it is. I said before, the lads have been really, really good. When there has been a bit of a setback this year, not always, but on many occasions we've had a setback, we've had a response. We're going to need that this week. I think we're going against a form team in the competition. Any side that pretty much rolls over OKR. Last week we were really good, and I think the form over the last 6 or 7 weeks has been really, really good. They seem to be building, so we're going to have to be on his game, and the lads have. It's a tricky one really, because you like to obviously train hard, and when you've had a real disappointing result, put a lot of combinating and work hard on training on the things that you did well, and get them combinations right, and actually get some of the defensive stuff right. But with it being a Thursday game, it's been a little bit trickier this week. We haven't had managed. You don't get chance, and they're the same. You don't get chance to get many sessions in, so it's just a little bit of dusting yourself down and mentally going through what we need to change, as opposed to anything physically.
And some of those changes will be forced. What potential is there for any new faces or returnees?
Well, look, Tane's obviously been banned, so Tane's out of the equation. Will's had the same problem that he's had for a long time, where he's been carrying a little bit of a pubis, which it sort of flares up, and that's flared up again. And Matt English, has been carrying a wrist injury. He got to say he's going for a scan actually today. He's might to find out the severity of that, but he's been struggling a little bit. So, so that there's got obviously them four are going to be out, and then really unfortunately Leroy Cudjow's grandma died last week, and the funeral's been arranged for for Thursday. For Thursday, so unfortunately we're out as captain Leroy as well. So, yeah, there's definitely some changes, some forced more than anything else. So it wasn't a case of we had a real poor result. We know we need to make some change. It was more. We've been going pretty well. We've been going all right over the last 2 months. That was obviously very disappointing, but the changes have been a little bit forced rather than whether we would have made some changes anyway. I think maybe, but yeah, them ones were out of our hands.
Our thoughts very much with Leroy at the moment after that news. Logan Blacker and Leo Warder in the squad in the 21. Is there any potential for those guys to get a debut? Not being shy of giving debuts this year.
Logan Blacker, there might be a change, because we've just got a conversation with the RFL. He's got a judiciary appearance tonight, and that looks like he might be coming out of the squad, not from us, but from them. Like, you never know whether someone's guilty or innocent until it ends. But I think from the messages we're getting, it's not going to look good. So that might not be the case.
It might not be the case. It's probably the youngest 21-man squad I think you've probably named in your in your time in charge, but probably the youngest you've ever seen in your time at Huddersfield, with Marshall Land and Archie Sykes, Jacob Alger and Logan and Leo as well. Is that a nod towards the potential that is there in the future clearly at Huddersfield in terms of the pathways and the conveyor belt there?
It's a little bit of both. Obviously, there's not many sort of senior blokes left within the squad to pick from, if any. We're in a little bit of a predicament in that respect. But in the same respect, I said all along, we've always produced really good young kids. The hardest thing at Huddersfield Giants been keeping hold of them. Is actually, rather than we produce, we have got a conveyor belt where we produce first team players. Super League players. We produced NRL players. Pricey, Cruz Leeman, there was one Dom Young. They all came through our system. So we do a good job of producing young players. We've got to continue that. We've got to do a better job of holding on to them. But look, them young kids that have been named in the squad haven't been named there just out of necessity. They're the ones that we've looked at and thought that that we see a little bit of something in them. The academy games that they're playing in, they're doing exceptionally well, and in training, the coaches are the ones that they generally talk about more than anybody else. So yeah, it's not just through necessity; it's also through their hard work.
You mentioned Leeds being the form side at the moment. I know coaches probably look back to like 3 games previous, probably even 4 games sometimes. And if that's what you've done, you'll have seen Leeds at their very best over this last month. Would you be surprised if they won this competition this year?
Oof. They have potential to win it. They do have potential to win it. If I were a betting man, it'd be very hard push to go against Hull KR and Wigan. And St Helens, when their forwards play really well, I think you're going to cause an upset. I said before that St Helens forward are probably one of the most dominant physically in the competition, which you saw against us, and what they did against Wakefield. So I could see them obviously causing a little bit of problems for teams. I see it's really hard to go past Hull KR. It's really, really difficult to go past them. And I think now that Bevan French is back in that Wigan side, again, it makes it very difficult to look past Wigan because, they did this last year, did Wigan? They had a little bit of a blip. I think Jay Field and Bevan French were out for about 5 or 6 weeks. Jay came back against our game, actually, and they just picked us. And then Bevan came back, and all of a sudden, everyone knew what happened when they come back in. So, look, I still feel like those are the two sort of out and outs, but Leeds, on the day, the way they're playing, the form they carry at the moment, I think, it wouldn't surprise me.
Just lastly for me, just give us a sense of the challenge that you faced then on Thursday. Like you say, it's similar, shortish turnaround for both sides, but given the way that Leeds are playing, given the issues you've got selection-wise at the moment, how big a challenge is it on Thursday for Huddersfield?
Yeah, it's an exciting one. I spoke to the lads about that. You want to perform against the best sides, against the best players, and they're riding high at the moment. I think that's as a rugby league player, you want to test yourself. You want to test yourself against the best, or whoever's playing the best at the moment. And look, we haven't obviously been on the field that much. We've had some honest conversations. The lads have are saying the right things. We just need to put it into practice now. We need to do what we have been doing. In them previous 8 weeks where we're putting them in a bit of, putting them under a bit of pressure, really. I don't think the pressure's on us. There is no pressure on us. I think it's an opportunity for us to go and express ourselves and see where that takes us. And like I said before, we've bounced back numerous occasions this year, and I'm hoping that we see the same effort and desire this week.